absolutely. So let's talk real quick. You have a very interesting college degree. Is it like, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't you like an English literature major?
I am. Yeah. Well,
so how does it, just hold on a second. How does a guy who's like, well, I don't really care for school that much. I had to muddle my way through it. I mean, I'm sorry, Colonel, but English literature is the last thing I would have picked.
Amen. I agree. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll tell you. So when I was an enlisted guy, I had a couple of people from my hometown that said, we want you to go to college. And, I was not a happy guy growing up, but I went in the Marine Corps. So I was taking some college courses, and this is in the 70s, pretty basic then. There was no such thing as the GI Bill or anything like that. But I like to read. I did. And I don't want to say like I was a lonely kid, but I was pretty lonely, but I did a lot of reading and I enjoyed it. And so we're in this class. I was just taking it, you just take the ones that are available, and it was by a guy, and he's a World War II veteran. He had lost his leg and in Bougainville, and he was talking, and he said, these books are classics. And I said, well, what's the best book ever written? And without any hesitation, he said, David Copperfield. And I had no idea what that was. And I said, well, how do you know that? He goes, read the book. So I was like, okay, I'll read the book. So at the beginning, it's Charles Dickens. It was kind of boring, but then as I got into it, I watched, it was this book about this young guy, and he's got a mom who's very sweet and kind, but very weak. His father had died. She had remarried, and the guy was mean to him, sent him away to a boarding school. There was a kid in the boarding school who was very charming, but very flawed. And all along, he's got this distant cousin who's, I think she's in love with him from the start, and this really tough aunt. And there's a part in the book, and I remember got to it, I have it underlined to this day, and he says, will I always be drawn to the tinsel people of the world that look so bright, but when you touch them, they just fade away? And this girl, her name was Agnes Wickfield. I still remember this. And so she looked at him and she said, you're what you are because of them. Only the best steel goes through the fire. And all of a sudden I started thinking, this is a pretty cool thing. But to be honest, I needed a degree so I got selected in the officer program. I needed a degree. I would have done underwater basket weaving or zoology, but I liked English, and there was a teacher there, a gal named Rachel Stewart, in one of the schools that I attended, and I think she thought I could write the great American novel. I was a big disappointment to her because I kept saying, Dr. Stewart, I'm going to go right back to the Marine Corps. But I read a lot of good books, and I still read a lot of good books. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
if you're involved in anything in leadership, you got to read.
You do.
I mean, that's how you obtain your information.
And there's some great stuff to read.
So, would I be correct in saying that you did your imagination help? Like, because a lot of what I'm getting out of you is as a young child, and even as a young adult, you say things, and I like what you say. You say, I was alone a little bit. I was kind of lonely, and I mean, I can relate to that a lot too. Mm-hmm. I was an only child. And but I spent a lot of time alone, and sometimes I had a hard time relating with certain people. And did you use your imagination to kind of catapult you places? Like, did you use visualization to say, okay, I want to be that guy?
Yeah.
And then you just took that role on and became that guy? I can kind of see that in you.
Yeah, I did. And that was, it wasn't like Elvis Presley, I mean, I remember we had a lot of guys from my era, they were all combing their hair like that wasn't happening with me. But I think I did. And, sports was a lot of that. I remember, I'm from New England, and we had a guy playing for the Red Sox, Carl Yastrzemski, and we just all, he was the guy. So I remember going to and this will shock the audience if they're young. I remember I went to a Red Sox game for $6. A nice seat for $6.
Add 2 zeros to it probably now.
So I went down, I was looking for him, and he was in the dugout and he was smoking, and I was like, oh my gosh, Nobody's smoking. He's smoking. He's an athlete. He's an athlete. Some years later, I heard a really funny story. There was a guy who played for the Padres named John Kruk, who was a heck of a player. And he told this story about one night he had gone like 4 for 6 in a doubleheader. He was a great player. And he said he felt really good about himself. So he's walking out to his car and he had 2 hot dogs and a beer. And this lady came up to him and she said, "You should be ashamed of yourself. You know, you're a professional athlete." And he's looking and he said, "I was chewing on the hot dog." I said, "Lady, I'm not an athlete. I'm a baseball player." So I don't know if he was anybody's idol, but those are both pretty funny. But,
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think you do that. And you know, as you kind of feel like this is the guy, you know, that I want to be, you know, and you push towards that. And I think, you know, inspiration and visualization, you know, is a big thing for that. And, you know, when you do what we do for a living, you know, you carry a gun and all that, you know, there are a lot of people who think they want to do that. I would tell them it's not always that fun, you know, it's not fun at all. But I think, you know, when you, at that point, you know, you got to kind of make your own life. And, you know, my mom was a big thing to me just because of what was going on in our house. And I remember, you know, when I left for the Marine Corps, you know, she was about 5'4", and they come get you real early in the morning, you know, and I was ready to go. I was definitely ready to go. And I remember she came out there. She daughter of Portuguese immigrants that were incredible, just an incredible story. I don't mind people coming across the border as long as they do it.
Yeah.
They do it the way my grandparents did.
Legally.
Yep. So my mom she got one step up and she was looking at me eye to eye and she said, "You know, I had a lot of tough things these past years and, you know, you're more like my friend than you are my son." She said, "And I feel like I can do almost anything." She said, "But I don't think I'm going to be able to take the fact that you're going to turn around in a minute and you're going to walk out of my life forever." And I did not, you know, it was as close as I had come to crying, you know, since I was about 7 years old. I remember I was looking down. She had bought me this shaving kit. You know, it wasn't a real expensive one. I had that. I saw that car come up. I turned around. I went down there, and I didn't look back. And I remember when I got to Paris Island, they took that shaving kit. They were like, "You don't need this." They threw it away. But, you know, my mom was super tough. She was just super tough lady in a quiet kind of way. And, you know, she encouraged that. You know, I used to kind of, you know, I would tell her, you know, "Hey, someday, you know, just hang on, Mom, just hang on," you know. But I think that, yeah, I kind of saw myself as a certain thing. I don't know if I saw myself as a Marine, but I liked the action. I did.
Yeah.
I did like the action. And,
Absolutely.
And it, you know, yeah, that was a big part of it.